The cargo bay of orbital station Helios 7 was always cold. Kang Ti-ho had worked here for 6 years, and he still felt the chill in his bones every morning. He pulled his jacket tighter and walked toward the pile of damaged crates waiting for inspection. Ti-ho was a mechanic. He fixed things. Broken engines, damaged doors, faulty air systems. If something was broken, people brought it to him. He liked his work. It was simple. It was honest. Machines did not lie. They did not leave. They just needed care and they worked again. He was 32 years old. He lived alone in a small room behind his repair shop. He had no family anymore. The Earth collapse had taken them all 10 years ago. Now he had only his tools and his silence. The delivery drone had dropped 7 crates that morning. 6 of them were normal. Engine parts, food supplies, medical equipment. But the 7th crate was different. It was marked with red letters that said, "Domestic Unit, Defective, Return to Sender." Ti-ho frowned. He had seen these words before. They usually meant broken cleaning robots or damaged cooking machines. He pulled the crate toward his work area and opened it. What he found inside was not a machine. It was a girl. She was curled up like a ball, her knees pressed against her chest. Her skin was pale purple like the color of evening clouds. Her hair was silver and fell over her face in messy tangles. She wore thin clothes that were torn and dirty, and she was not moving. Ti-ho's heart stopped for a moment. Then he saw her chest rise slowly. She was breathing. She was alive. He reached into the crate and touched her shoulder gently. Her skin was cold, too cold. She flinched at his touch and opened her eyes. They were large and golden like 2 small suns, but there was no light in them, only fear. "Please," she whispered. Her voice was weak and broken. "Please do not send me back." Ti-ho did not know what to say. He looked at her more closely. She was not human. Her ears were slightly pointed and her fingers were longer than normal. She was a Velurian. He had seen them before on the station. They were a proud species, known for their slim bodies and cold beauty. But this girl was different. She was round and soft. Her body was larger than other Velurians he had seen. Her cheeks were full and her arms were thick. By Velurian standards, she was considered ugly, unwanted. "What is your name?" Ti-ho asked softly. "Lyra," she said. "My name is Lyra." "Why are you in this crate, Lyra?" She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. "I was sold 3 times. Each owner returned me. They said I was too fat, too slow, too ugly. The last one put me in this box and sent me away. He said no one would ever want me." Ti-ho felt something twist inside his chest. It was anger, not at her, at the galaxy, at the cold, heartless system that treated people like broken machines. "How long have you been in there?" he asked. "I do not know, many days, maybe a week." He looked at her thin arms and hollow cheeks. She was starving. Whoever had shipped her had not given her food or water. They had sent her to die. Station rules were clear. Any unregistered alien had to be reported to Commander Null within 1 hour. If Ti-ho did not report her, he could lose his license. He could go to prison. He could lose everything. Lyra seemed to read his thoughts. She grabbed his sleeve with her weak fingers. "I know you must report me," she said. "I understand, but before you do, please let me say something." Ti-ho waited. She looked up at him with those golden eyes and her voice cracked as she spoke. "I am too fat to be loved, sir. I know this. No one has ever wanted me, but I can cook. I am a very good cook. If you let me stay, even for a little while, I will cook for you. I will clean for you. I will do anything, please. Just do not send me back to die." The words hit Ti-ho like a punch to the chest. He had heard many sad things in his life. He had seen death and loss and pain. But something about this girl, about the way she believed she had no value except for what she could do, broke something inside him. He thought about his mother. She had been a cook too. She had made simple food with love and care. She had told him once that the measure of a person was not in what they looked like, but in how they treated those who could give them nothing in return. T-Ho made his decision. "Can you stand?" he asked. Lyra looked confused. "What? Can you stand? Can you walk?" "I think so. Why?" He reached down and helped her out of the crate. She was weak and she leaned against him for support. She smelled like dust and fear, but she was warm now. Her body was slowly coming back to life. "My shop is this way," T-Ho said. "I have a small room in the back. There is a bed and a heater. You can rest there." Lyra stared at him. "You are not going to report me?" "No." "But why? You do not know me. You owe me nothing." T-Ho looked at her for a long moment. He did not have a good answer. He did not have a logical reason. He just knew that he could not send her away. He could not be another person who threw her away like garbage. "You needed help," he said simply. "That is enough reason." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak, but no words came out. She just nodded and followed him. They walked through the quiet corridors of the station. It was late, and most people were asleep. The lights were dim, and their footsteps echoed on the metal floor. T-Ho kept his pace slow so she could keep up. When they reached his shop, he opened the door and led her inside. The room was small but clean. There were tools on the walls and machine parts on the shelves. In the back was a narrow bed and a small kitchen area. T-Ho gave her a bottle of water and a protein bar. "Eat slowly," he said. "Your stomach is weak." Lyra took the food with trembling hands. She ate like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. Tears ran down her cheeks as she chewed. "Thank you," she whispered between bites. "Thank you." T-Ho sat on a chair across from her. He watched her eat and felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had been alone for so long. His life had been quiet and empty, but now there was someone here, someone who needed him. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. He did not know if he was making a mistake, but for the first time in years, he felt like he had done something right. Outside, the stars turned slowly in the endless black sky, and somewhere in the station's records, a damaged crate was marked as contents destroyed. No one would look for Lyra. No one except the man who had just saved her life. 3 days passed, and Lyra still did not understand the human. She watched him from the corner of the small room, her golden eyes following his every move. He woke up early each morning. He made himself a simple breakfast. He went to work in his shop. He came back in the evening. He asked her if she was okay. He gave her food. Then he slept. He never hit her. He never yelled at her. He never touched her in ways that made her afraid. He did not look at her with disgust or disappointment. He just treated her like she was a person. This confused Lyra more than anything. Her first owner had been a wealthy Velurian merchant. He had bought her when she was 12 years old. He wanted a servant who could cook and clean, but when he saw how big she was, he called her a waste of money. He made her sleep in a storage closet. He fed her only scraps. When she made mistakes, he beat her with a metal rod. Her second owner was worse. He was a trader who wanted to sell her to a pleasure house, but the pleasure house rejected her. They said she was too ugly, too fat, too worthless. The trader was angry. He starved her for a week as punishment before selling her again. Her third owner did not even keep her for a month. He took one look at her and said, "This is not what I ordered." Then he put her in a crate and shipped her away like broken cargo. Now she was here in this small room with a human who made her breakfast and asked if she needed a blanket. On the fourth day, Lyra decided to cook. T-Ho had left for work. The shop was quiet. Lyra looked at the small kitchen area and felt something stir inside her. It was the only thing she knew how to do well, the only thing that had ever made her feel like she had value. She found some basic ingredients: rice, vegetables, a little bit of meat, nothing fancy, but enough. She worked slowly and carefully. Her hands were still weak from the days without food, but they remembered the movements. Cutting, stirring, seasoning, cooking was like breathing to her. It was the one place where she felt safe. When Tiho came back that evening, the smell hit him as soon as he opened the door. His eyes went wide. "What is this?" he asked. Lyra stood by the small table, her hands clasped in front of her. She had set out 2 bowls of rice, a plate of stir-fried vegetables, and a small pot of soup. It was simple food, but it was made with care. "I cooked," she said softly. "I hope it is okay. I wanted to thank you." Tiho sat down at the table. He picked up his chopsticks and took a bite of the vegetables. Then he stopped. He chewed slowly. He swallowed. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She waited for him to say it was bad, to say she had wasted his food, to be angry. Instead, he looked at her and said, "This is really good." Lyra blinked. "What?" "The food, it is really good. I have not eaten something this good in years." She did not know what to say. No one had ever praised her cooking before. Her owners had eaten what she made, but they never thanked her. They never said it was good. They just expected it. "You really think so?" she asked. Tiho nodded. He took another bite. "Where did you learn to cook like this?" "My mother taught me," Lyra said, "before she sold me." Tiho paused. He looked at her with something in his eyes that she could not name. It was not pity. It was something deeper, something warmer. "Your mother sold you?" he asked quietly. Lyra nodded. "I was the smallest in my family, but also the fattest. Valurians value thin bodies. My mother said I was a shame to our family. She said no one would ever marry me, so she sold me to pay her debts." Tiho put down his chopsticks. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I am sorry." "Why are you sorry? You did not do anything wrong." "I am sorry that anyone would treat you that way. You did not deserve it." Lyra felt tears forming in her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. She did not want to cry in front of him. She had cried too much in her life already. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course." "Why are you being kind to me?" Tiho leaned back in his chair. He seemed to think about the question for a long time. Then he said, "Because you needed help, and I could help you. That is enough reason." Lyra shook her head. "But that is not how the galaxy works. No one helps others for no reason. There is always a price. There is always something they want in return." "Maybe that is how the galaxy works," Tiho said. "But that is not how I work." Lyra stared at him. She did not understand. She could not understand. In her whole life, no one had ever been kind to her without wanting something back. The next few days became a pattern. Tiho worked in his shop during the day. Lyra stayed in the back room. She cooked meals for him. She cleaned the small space. She tried to make herself useful. But Tiho never asked her to do these things. He always thanked her. He always said the food was good. Sometimes he even asked her what she wanted to eat. "What do you mean, what I want?" Lyra asked the first time he said this. "I mean, what food do you like? What is your favorite?" No one had ever asked her that question before. She had always cooked what others wanted. She had never thought about what she liked. "I do not know," she admitted. Tiho smiled. It was a small smile, but it was warm. "Then we will figure it out together." One evening, Tiho brought home a small heating unit. It was old and slightly damaged, but he fixed it quickly with his tools. "What is that for?" Lyra asked. "For warm water," he said. "I noticed you always wash with cold water. This will heat it for you, so you can take warm baths." Lyra felt her chest tighten. It was such a small thing, such a simple thing, but no one had ever done something like this for her before. No one had ever noticed what she needed. That night, she took her first warm bath in years. The water wrapped around her like a blanket. She closed her eyes and felt the tension leave her body. And for the first time in as long as she could remember, she cried. Not from pain, not from fear, but from something else. Something she did not have a name for. Later, when she came out, Tiho was reading a technical manual in his chair. He looked up at her. "Better?" he asked. Lyra nodded. She could not speak. Her throat was too tight. T-Ho went back to his reading. He did not ask why her eyes were red. He did not ask why she was being quiet. He just let her be. That night as Lyra lay in her small bed, she thought about humans. She had heard stories about them. The other species called them strange, illogical. They formed attachments too easily. They helped strangers for no reason. They acted on feelings instead of logic. Other species called this a weakness. They said humans were too emotional, too soft. But now, lying in the dark, Lyra thought that maybe the galaxy had it wrong. Maybe this strange human kindness was not a weakness at all. Maybe it was the strongest thing in the universe. She closed her eyes and felt something new growing in her heart. It was small and fragile, like a tiny flower pushing through concrete. It was hope. And somewhere on the station, Commander Nall opened a report about unusual energy signatures coming from a certain mechanic's shop. He narrowed his eyes and made a note to investigate. The knock on the door came at the worst possible time. Lyra was in the middle of making breakfast. The smell of cooking rice filled the small room. She heard the knock and froze. Her hand stopped moving. Her heart started racing. T-Ho looked at her. His face was calm, but she could see something sharp in his eyes. He put a finger to his lips. "Hide," he whispered. "In the storage compartment, do not make a sound." Lyra moved quickly. She had learned to be quiet a long time ago. She opened the metal panel on the wall and climbed inside. The space was small and dark. She pulled her knees to her chest and held her breath. The knock came again, louder this time. T-Ho walked to the door and opened it. Commander Nall stood in the doorway. He was tall and thin, with the pale silver skin of a pure-blooded Velurian. His eyes were like chips of ice. He wore the dark uniform of the station's security force, and his badge gleamed under the lights. "Mechanic Kang," he said. His voice was cold and flat. "I am here for an inspection." "An inspection?" T-Ho asked. "I was not informed." "It is a random check. New policy, may I come in?" It was not really a question. Commander Nall pushed past T-Ho and entered the shop. His eyes moved slowly across the room, taking in every detail. The tools on the walls, the machine parts on the shelves, the small kitchen area where breakfast was still cooking. "You live alone, correct?" Nall asked. "Yes." "Then why are there two bowls on the table?" T-Ho did not hesitate. "I was expecting a friend. She is a trader. She visits sometimes." "A friend?" Nall repeated the word like it tasted bad in his mouth. "What is her name?" "Bayuna. You can check the station records. She has a trading license." Nall walked around the room slowly. He stopped in front of the storage compartment. Lyra's heart pounded so hard she was sure he could hear it. "This is a large storage area," Nall said. "May I look inside?" "It is just tools and spare parts," T-Ho said. "Nothing interesting." "I will decide what is interesting." Nall reached for the panel. Lyra closed her eyes. This was it. This was the end. She would be found. She would be taken away. She would be sent back to die in some dark cargo hold. Then a voice came from outside. "T-Ho, are you there? I brought the parts you asked for." It was a woman's voice, loud and cheerful. Nall stopped and turned toward the door. Bayuna walked in like she owned the place. She was a short woman with sharp eyes and a wide smile. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, and she carried a large bag over her shoulder. "Oh," she said, looking at Commander Nall. "I did not know you had company. Am I interrupting something?" Nall's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" "Bayuna, trader, licensed and registered. I am an old friend of T-Ho. We grew up on the same colony before the collapse." She turned to T-Ho and held up the bag. "I got those engine filters you wanted. Also, I brought some real coffee, not that recycled station garbage." T-Ho nodded. "Thank you. I was just telling the commander about you." "Oh, really?" Yuna looked at Nall with a smile that did not reach her eyes. What did you want to know about me, Commander? I am an open book. Nal stared at her for a long moment. Then he stepped away from the storage compartment. Nothing. This was just a routine inspection. He looked at T-Ho. Keep your papers in order, mechanic. I will be watching. He walked out without another word. The door closed behind him. Yuna waited until his footsteps faded away. Then she let out a long breath. That was close. T-Ho opened the storage compartment. Lyra was inside, shaking. Her eyes were wide with fear. It is okay, T-Ho said gently. He is gone, you are safe. Lyra climbed out slowly. Her legs felt weak. She looked at the woman standing in the room. Who are you? Bei Yuna, the woman said. I really am an old friend of T-Ho. He sent me a message yesterday. Told me he might need help with something. He did not say what, but I could tell it was serious. Lyra looked at T-Ho. You told her about me. Not exactly, T-Ho said. I just said I might have a problem. Yuna has good timing. Good timing is my specialty, Yuna said. She looked at Lyra with curious eyes. So you are the reason our friend here is breaking the law. Lyra felt shame burn in her chest. I am sorry. I did not mean to cause trouble. Hey, calm down. Yuna held up her hands. I am not judging. If T-Ho is helping you, then you must be worth helping. This guy does not do anything without a good reason. That night after Yuna left, Lyra sat with T-Ho in the small room. The food she had made had gone cold, but neither of them was hungry. You could go to prison, Lyra said, if they find me. I know. Then why risk everything for me? I am nobody, I am nothing. You do not even know me. T-Ho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Can I tell you something? Lyra nodded. When the Earth collapse happened, I was 22 years old. I lived on a small colony with my family. My mother, my father, my little sister. We were not rich, but we were happy. He paused. His eyes looked far away, like he was seeing something that was not there anymore. The collapse happened fast. The ground opened. Buildings fell. Everything was fire and dust. I was at work when it started. By the time I got home, there was nothing left, just rubble and smoke. Lyra felt her heart ache. I am sorry. I searched for 3 days, T-Ho continued. I dug through the wreckage with my bare hands. I called their names until my voice was gone, but I never found them, not their bodies, not anything. They were just gone. He looked at Lyra. His eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. After that, I became empty. I worked, I ate, I slept, but I did not feel anything. I was like a machine just going through the motions. What changed? Lyra asked. You. Lyra blinked. Me. T-Ho nodded. When I opened that crate and saw you inside, something woke up in me. I saw someone who needed help, someone who was alone and afraid. And I thought, if I can save even one person, maybe my life means something. Maybe I am not just wasting space in this galaxy. Tears rolled down Lyra's cheeks. She could not stop them. Where I come from, T-Ho said, we do not throw people away because they are different. We protect them. That is what humans do. That is what I do. Lyra wanted to say something. She wanted to thank him, but words felt too small, too weak. Instead, she reached out and took his hand. It was warm and rough from years of work. She held it gently, like something precious. No one has ever protected me before, she whispered. Then I will be the first, T-Ho said. They sat together in the silence. Outside, the stars turned slowly in the endless dark, and somewhere on the station, Commander Nall pulled up the records of every damaged cargo shipment from the past month. He was not done looking. But for now, in this small room, 2 broken people had found a moment of peace. And that was enough. The bounty appeared on every screen in the station. Lyra saw it first. She was alone in the back room, waiting for T-Ho to finish his work. The small display on the wall flickered, and suddenly there it was, a picture, her picture, taken from some old record she did not even remember. The words below the picture were clear. Wanted, illegal Valurian female, unregistered, reward for information leading to capture. Report to Commander Nall. Lyra's blood turned cold. They were looking for her. They knew she was somewhere on the station. It was only a matter of time before someone talked, before someone saw her, before everything fell apart. She thought about Tiho, his small shop, his simple life, his quiet kindness. He had risked everything for her, and now, because of her, he would lose it all. Lyra made her decision. She waited until late that night when Tiho was asleep. She moved quietly, like a shadow. She found a piece of paper and wrote a short note with trembling hands. Thank you for everything. You are the first person who ever treated me like I was worth something. I will never forget your kindness, but I cannot let you suffer because of me. I am turning myself in. Please do not try to find me. Please forget about me. You deserve a peaceful life. I am sorry. Lyra. She placed the note on the table next to his bed. She looked at his sleeping face for a long moment. He looked peaceful. He looked gentle. She wanted to touch his cheek, to feel his warmth one last time, but she was afraid she would wake him. So she turned away and left. The station corridors were empty at this hour. The lights were dim, casting long shadows on the metal walls. Lyra walked slowly. Her legs felt heavy. Her heart felt heavier. She thought about her life, all the pain, all the loneliness, all the people who had hurt her and thrown her away. For a brief moment with Tiho, she had felt something different. She had felt hope. She had felt like maybe, just maybe, she could have a future. But she knew the truth. People like her did not get happy endings. People like her were cargo, products, things to be used and discarded. At least this way, Tiho would be safe. At least this way, her life would mean something. She would sacrifice herself so he could live in peace. The transit hub was ahead. A detention shuttle was docked at the far end, waiting to take prisoners to the main station. Lyra could see security officers standing by the entrance. She just had to walk up to them. She just had to say who she was. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. A hand grabbed her arm. She spun around, her heart pounding. Tiho stood behind her. His hair was messy from sleep. His shirt was buttoned wrong. He was breathing hard like he had been running. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Let me go," Lyra said. "Please, you have to let me go." "No. If I turn myself in, you will be safe. They will stop looking. They will leave you alone. I do not care about being safe." Lyra felt tears burning in her eyes. "Why not? Why do you keep doing this? I am not worth it. I am nothing. I am just a fat alien girl that no one wants." Tiho grabbed her shoulders and looked into her eyes. His face was hard, but his voice was gentle. "You do not get to decide that," he said. "You do not get to decide that you are not worth saving. That is not your choice." "Then whose choice is it?" "Mine, and I choose to save you." Lyra shook her head. The tears were falling now, running down her cheeks like rain. "You are crazy. You are absolutely crazy." "Maybe," Tiho said, "but I am not letting you go." The sound of footsteps echoed through the hub. Commander Nall appeared from around the corner, followed by 4 security officers. They were armed with stun batons. Their faces were cold and hard. "Mechanic Kang," Nall said. "I should have known. Step away from the alien." Tiho turned to face him. He did not let go of Lyra's hand. "She is under my protection," Tiho said. "She is an illegal. She has no rights here, and you are now guilty of harboring a fugitive." Nall smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Do you know what the punishment is for that?" "I do not care." Nall raised an eyebrow. "You would go to prison for this thing. Look at her. She is worthless. Her own species threw her away. Why would a human risk everything for garbage?" Tiho's eyes went hard. "She is not garbage. She is a person, and I will not let you take her." Nall laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound. "You are just one man, mechanic. What can you do against all of us?" T-Ho did not answer. He just stood there between Lyra and the security officers. He had no weapons. He had no backup. He had nothing but his own stubborn will. But he did not move. Lyra had never seen anything like it. This man, this strange human, was standing against impossible odds for her. For a girl he had known for only a few weeks. For a girl that even she believed was worthless. She did not understand. She could not understand. But something inside her shifted. Something cracked open. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe she did have value. Maybe she was worth fighting for. Because this man clearly believed it, and he was willing to die for that belief. Nal stepped forward. "Last chance, mechanic. Move aside or I will have you arrested alongside her." T-Ho looked at Lyra. His eyes were calm, his voice was steady. "I made a promise," he said. "I said I would protect you. I do not break my promises." He turned back to Nal. "You want her, you will have to go through me." Nal's face twisted with anger. "Fine, arrest them both." The security officers moved forward. Their stun batons crackled with electricity. Lyra closed her eyes. This was it. This was the end. At least she was not alone. At least she had someone beside her. Then she heard another sound. Footsteps. Many footsteps coming from every direction. She opened her eyes. People were coming into the transit hub. Humans and aliens, mechanics and traders, cooks and nurses, old people and young people. They came from every corridor, every door, every corner of the station. At the front was Bay Yuna, holding a camera that was broadcasting to every screen on the station. "The whole station is watching, Commander," Yuna said. Her voice was loud and clear. "Whatever you do next, everyone will see." Nal looked around. His face went pale. Hundreds of eyes were watching him, hundreds of witnesses. The security officers hesitated. They looked at their commander, waiting for orders. But Nal knew he had lost. He could not arrest a man in front of the entire station. He could not drag away an unarmed girl while everyone watched. The political cost would be too high. He took a step back. His jaw was tight with rage. "This is not over," he hissed. "I will find another way." Then he turned and walked away. The security officers followed him. The crowd did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They just stood there, silent and steady, a wall of ordinary people who had decided that enough was enough. T-Ho turned to Lyra. His hands were shaking. He looked exhausted. "Are you okay?" he asked. Lyra looked at him, at this crazy, stubborn, wonderful human, at the man who had stood alone against the darkness for her. "Yes," she whispered, "I am okay." Then she threw her arms around him and cried. And for the first time in her life, they were not tears of pain. They were tears of gratitude. 3 months had passed since the night at the transit hub. The station looked the same as always. The metal corridors hummed with life. The recycled air carried the smell of machine oil and cooking food. People went about their daily business, working and eating and sleeping. But something had changed, something small but important. There was a new food stall next to the old repair shop in Section 7. It was a simple stall, just a small counter with a few stools, a cooking area in the back, and a hand-painted sign that said Lyra's Kitchen. The letters were a little crooked, but they were colorful and warm. Every day people lined up at the stall, humans and aliens, workers and traders. They came for the food, which was simple but delicious. Rice bowls, vegetable soups, spiced meat on sticks, nothing fancy but made with care. And they came to see Lyra. She stood behind the counter, her silver hair tied back, her purple skin glowing under the warm lights. She was still round and soft, still larger than other Velurians. But now she moved with confidence. She smiled at her customers. She remembered their names and their favorite dishes. She was not hiding anymore. The sanctuary request had gone through 2 months ago. Yuna had found a lawyer who knew galactic law. Under an old rule meant to protect refugees, Lyra was granted provisional asylum. As long as she stayed on the station and did not break any laws, no one could take her away. Commander Nall had tried to fight it. He filed complaints. He sent reports to the Valurian embassy. He did everything he could to have her removed. But the people of the station stood by her. They signed petitions. They sent messages to the station council. They made it clear that Lyra was one of them now. In the end, even Nall had to give up. He still walked past the food stall sometimes, his cold eyes watching. But he never stopped. He never spoke. He just watched and walked away. Today was a busy day. The lunch rush was at its peak and Lyra was moving fast. She cooked and served and cleaned in a blur of motion. Her hands never stopped. Her smile never faded. T-Ho worked in his shop next door. He could see her through the open wall that connected the two spaces. He liked watching her work. She looked so different from the scared, broken girl he had found in that crate. She looked alive. When the lunch rush ended, Lyra took a break. She poured 2 cups of tea and brought one to T-Ho. "Busy day," she said, sitting on a stool next to his workbench. "I noticed." T-Ho took the tea and smiled. "You are getting famous. People come from other sections just to eat your food." Lyra laughed. It was a real laugh, warm and bright. She had not laughed like that before, not until recently. "I still cannot believe it," she said. 3 months ago I was cargo. Now I have a shop. I have customers. I have a life." "You deserve it." Lyra looked at him. Her golden eyes were soft. "I only have it because of you. You saved me, T-Ho. You gave me a chance." "You saved yourself," T-Ho said. "I just opened the door. You were the one who walked through it." They sat together in comfortable silence. The sound of the station hummed around them. The smell of cooking food filled the air. "Can I ask you something?" Lyra said. "Of course." "That night when you came after me at the transit hub, when you stood in front of Commander Nall and all those officers, were you scared?" T-Ho thought about it. "Yes," he said, "I was terrified." "Then why did you do it?" He looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were serious but gentle. "Because when I looked at you, I did not see a fat alien girl. I did not see cargo or property or something worthless." He paused. "I saw someone who had been through hell and was still fighting. Someone who cooked meals for others even when she was starving. Someone who tried to sacrifice herself to protect a man she barely knew." Lyra felt her cheeks flush with warmth. "T-Ho, you asked me once why I helped you," he continued. "I said it was because you needed help, but that was not the whole truth." "What was the whole truth?" He put down his tea and looked at her directly. "The truth is, you reminded me that I still had a heart. After my family died, I closed myself off. I thought if I did not care about anyone, I could not be hurt again. But then you came, and I realized that living without caring is not really living at all." Lyra felt tears forming in her eyes. She had cried so much in her life, but these tears were different. They were warm. "I do not know what the future holds," T-Ho said. "I do not know if I am doing this right, but I know that I do not want to go back to living alone. I do not want to go back to being empty." He reached out and took her hand. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. "I know you think you are not beautiful," he said softly. "I know you think you are not worthy of love, but every time I look at you, I see someone amazing, someone strong, someone who turns simple ingredients into food that makes people happy, someone who smiles at strangers and remembers their names." Lyra was crying now. She could not stop the tears. "I am too fat to be loved," she whispered. It was the same thing she had said the first day, the same thing she had believed her whole life. T-Ho shook his head slowly. "If that is what they taught you, then they never learned how to love." He stood up and pulled her gently to her feet. He wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. She buried her face in his chest and cried. She cried for all the years of pain. She cried for all the people who had thrown her away. She cried for the girl she used to be. And then she stopped crying and she smiled. Because she was not that girl anymore. She was someone new. Someone who had been broken and put back together. Someone who had found a home. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "Thank you," Tiho replied, "for giving me a reason to care again." They stood there for a long time holding each other. The station hummed around them. The stars turned slowly outside the windows. A customer poked his head into the shop. "Hey, is the food stall open? I heard the soup here is amazing." Lyra laughed and wiped her eyes. "Yes, yes, it is open." She went back to her kitchen. She lit the stove and started cooking. Tiho returned to his workbench and picked up his tools. They worked side by side, just like they did every day. A mechanic and a cook, a human and an alien, two people who had been broken and had chosen to heal together. Outside, the galaxy continued its endless dance. Stars were born and died. Empires rose and fell. Species fought and made peace and fought again. But in this small corner of a small station, something beautiful was growing. A quiet love, a gentle hope, a proof that kindness was not weakness. It was strength. And as Lyra served her soup and Tiho fixed his machines, they both knew that they had found something rare. They had found home. Not a place, not a building, not a planet. Just each other. "I am too fat to be loved," she had once said. Yet the human held her hand and whispered, "Then they never learned how to love." And in that moment, the whole galaxy seemed a little brighter.